More shoes. More shoes. Okay, maybe a Grunfeld. If my opponent allows it, maybe he'll play a London system. I wonder, I think I have tried the Grunfeld against the London system. He plays a normal move. Okay. It's moving kind of slow for this early stage in the opening. Usually the first 2 or 3 moves are pretty quick. He has a question mark on his rating, so this could be someone who's not used to playing Blitz. So this is the same-ish variation against the King's Indian. I guess it has, in a way, it has the same meaning as bringing the knight out. It's supporting the idea of a pawn to e4. So let's get in my pawn to d5 while I can. I don't know if this variation is so good against the Grunfeld, but maybe it's okay. Yes, because he doesn't have the knight here. In the Grunfeld, he would have a knight here instead of the pawn here. And then when this pawn comes forward, I'd be able to trade my knight for his knight and give him that classic Grunfeld center. Now I have to go back when he plays e4, unless there's some cool trick here or something. But I don't see it. So let's just put the knight on this side, keep it out of the way of the bishop. And we'll see. Maybe we get squished in the center. So probably playing the Grunfeld after f3 is not the right idea. Okay, so now I'm actually threatening to take here. Queen and bishop are on it. You can support it with knight to e2 or bishop to e3. That works too. So I guess this guy is okay. He's probably a good player who's just not used to playing Blitz. Anyway, I haven't decided. I'm going to push up one of these pawns. I haven't decided which one, and then try and get more pressure on the center here. The idea of advancing these pawns is to stop or to be ready to trade it off if that pawn comes forward. Okay, and he's setting up to trade bishops. That's okay. Yeah, if I push this pawn forward, it blocks in the light squared bishop. So I guess I should push this pawn forward. Yeah, it's funny. If he plays bishop here, I could play queen takes pawn. But he's not doing that. He's pushing his rook pawn. It's a very aggressive way to play. And because he's already set up this battery in advance, I can't play h6, which I sometimes like to do. The idea is h6, and then if this pawn comes forward, you can play g5 and got a fairly secure kingside. So what to do? The options are play g5, or h5 now, stop it. He'll probably follow up with g4, even though that's a pawn sack. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I think the other option is to allow him to push, but it's pretty dangerous. The rook, opening the rook file, placing a bishop here, and then trading and getting a queen here. Yeah, he takes. He takes. I'm going to take back with the bishop and use the bishop to blockade this pawn. Unless he pushes right away. Sometimes they do that. They sack one pawn and push the other pawn. Or that. I have not seen that one. That blocks in the bishop. But I guess the pawns will be coming forward, so it's just temporarily blocking the bishop in. Could I make it more than temporary by playing playing f5? Keep that closed. It's a bit of a weird move, weakening my king side, but it also keeps this diagonal shut, so it has some merit. So he switched to another location, which means this is available, right? I can take this pawn. Well, he can bring a rook over. I can take the knight with check. And then move my queen. Let's do that. This is an important pawn. Yeah, our time is half gone and we're only on move 12. Okay, he got a check in. Yeah, I should have checked if that was fatal first, but it doesn't seem to be fatal. But yeah, if there was some check that attacked my bishop, then he would have just won a piece. But fortunately for me, he didn't have that. Well, the knight is guarding this square. Yeah, that's what I thought. Rook there. So take here with check. Oh no, he can take back. Yeah. He can take back there with check. So yeah, that's fatal because I have to respond to the check and then my queen is hanging. I was planning to, yeah, escape with the bishop with check and then, yeah, I wonder if this guy's using a computer because that was a pretty clever maneuver here. He first checked my king to drive it up to this square so that when he took back on this square, this would be with check. I'm going to resign here and take a quick look. I'm curious. Well, yeah, he was making mistakes. Okay, I just made a blunder there, but a pretty subtle blunder, I think. Here, let's play a rapid game. Okay, e4. Play a Sicilian. Go for a classical Sicilian. No, I can't. So he's switched to an English. Yeah, he can play the Botvinnik setup from this configuration. Let's get my bishop outside the pawn chain. I'm thinking maybe I'll just play e6 here. So that he never has use of this square. I wonder about that. I guess it's just a pawn trade, right? I would take this pawn, he takes this pawn. And then I move the knight and my rook is defended. So I'm not going to worry about that. That's a trade of a central pawn for a knight pawn here. Although it would leave me with doubled pawns here. Still, I want to get castled. Okay, well now I can develop a knight here and get rid of that problem. And I have access to the Botvinnik Hall here. He needs to bring a bishop out if he wants to stop me from going there. Or he could put a knight here, I guess, but I'll kick it. What is that? Retreating the bishop. And maybe he wants to put his rook on the e-file and then push the pawn. I'll still take it. There's an interesting idea of putting the knight here. Oh, that was his idea. He rerouted the bishop this way. But that's not a pin, and I wanted to move the knight anyway. The question is, where's the best square for the knight? As I was saying, if I put it here, it's looking at this square, as well as this pawn, and it's hitting the queen. So that means the queen will go here to defend the pawn. And there's no particular follow-up. Knight here. It's covering all these good squares, but can't actually land on d3 from there. So I might as well go to my originally planned location. I could bring the other knight out. Here's an idea, knight here to here. And the queen can't go to this square. So the queen runs back. Yeah, I kind of like that, except he might be considering playing f5 here. Bring my knight back, I mean f4. So bring my knight back here, he plays f4. Do I have a good counter to that? Not really. Okay, are there other plans in this position? I could try and exploit his bishop here. Let's see, if I had a rook here, pawn, pawn, pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes. So yeah, rook here, pawn up, pawn here. This is protected by the rook and the knight. So he takes, I take back, he takes the knight, I take back, he takes the bishop, I take back, and I end up a piece up. So I guess that's a plan. We can start with this, because I can't immediately get to this square. I'll need this. To push on to B5 here. Okay, rook. Yeah, he did have the idea of putting the rook behind the pawn, or maybe he just likes having a rook on an open file. But anyway, yeah, I was set up for this, so let's play it. Yeah, so now I can grab this bishop at any time. I wonder about this knight, though. The knight could come here, protected by the bishop. Or it could go back attacking my knight. And then I could play a pawn up. Because once this knight moves away, it can never go to this square. If I push it from here with a pawn, let's see, it would have to come from here or from here. So I think I like this. And then I'll get in e5. If the knight goes to e2, I will play e5. Lock my knight in there, and if he trades it off, I'll take with the pawn. Probably the c pawn. Even though that will leave me with an isolated pawn here. I think I will do it that way anyway. Try and get my f-pawn going then. Move the knight out of the way, f5. Try and break down the center. Unpinning the f-pawn. He had established a pin with that bishop move. Ah, he wants to play f5, and he finally got it in. So I could play knight. No, I can't play the knight there. I wanted to get the knight out of the way of the f-pawn in any case, and maybe this is a good square. Hit the bishop. Yeah, so he goes back to the f-file. So I could play f6 rather. I can't play f5 here. He can just take it. F6 is a bit annoying because it locks in my bishop, but I don't want to lose the pawn. I guess I will play g6 f5. Maybe something like that. g6 leaves this square open for his bishop. He does have the bishop pair. Well, Mr. MCSVEJ, he's played a good game. My king side looks a little bit weak now. He's got all these squares taken. You know, there's probably, excuse me, in this position, the idea of a sacrifice here, and then queen here would be mate. Yeah. He's thinking of things along those lines. Let's see if we can get rid of this bishop. I'm also attacking this pawn. The bishop retreats to defend the pawn. Then it's no longer controlling this diagonal, which is an important thing for me because that gives my king a little bit of space, gives my rook room to maneuver. Yeah, so he defended there. Okay, rook here. Pawn forward, pawn takes, knight takes. But I do pawn forward. He could just do pawn forward and not bother with it. I was thinking of rook here and knight takes here. But sadly, that does not really work because this queen can take my knight instead of the pawn. Okay, where does the queen have? Let's bring my queen over here. Let's challenge his queen somehow, because things are a bit too dangerous for me there. Well, I don't really like putting my rook on that. I mean, if I go here and he takes and my knight goes back to that square, it's not a great square for the knight. So how about here? Just looking to come out on the light squares. Did take. Okay. I mean, I still have this problem on the light squares here. So, okay, take that. Guess he's looking to activate his bishop here, huh? Okay, I had an idea here. I want to put my knight on this square, blocking his bishop. Oh, so he just trades. Okay, so now we have opposite colored bishops. And this is a very interesting position. He can no longer, I mean, I can no longer stop his bishop from controlling the light squares, but he can't stop my bishop from controlling the dark squares. So it's even. And both of them are bad bishops, technically, because he has a light squared bishop with light squared pawns, and I have a dark squared bishop with dark squared pawns in the center. So he's helping me. Let's maneuver around. Oh, I see. Very clever. If I take, he takes my rook. But actually, this doesn't work. Clever but wrong. Clever but wrong. Because my rook is defended. He was relying on this pin. But it's not really a pin since my rook is defended. Well, yeah, he played a good game up to that point. Very interesting. So I think he's this another question mark. Yeah, so he's someone who's a good player who's not maybe so experienced at Blitz. That's my impression here. And he resigned. Yeah, so he's just waiting to see if I saw that. Okay, well, we can play one more game then. Oh, I get to play white. I wanted to play a bishop's opening. Haven't done one of those in a long time. Just e d6. Well, this could transpose into an Italian game. It's probably the best move because the knight supports d5. It supports a potential d4 rather. Let's block the pin so I can play d5. Oh, let's castle too, because when he brings the knight out, I'll want to defend this pawn with the rook. So, yeah, so we've got an Italian game in a different move order. Happens a lot, I guess, with the bishop's opening. Interesting. So I don't have this knight out, so can't take with the knight. I could take with the pawn. He takes, I take, queen takes, and I've got an isolated pawn. If I just drop back, I think I should take. If I just drop back, I mean, I can save the pawn, but I lose the bishop anyway. Here I have the option of not trading and just increasing pressure on the center. Now when he did that trade, it reinforced my center and it left me with the bishop pair. He has the bishop pair too, of course, but I like this for me. Let's bring another bishop out. Maybe knight to e5. No, there's not. I was thinking for a second there might be a Greek gift sacrifice here, but he's got control of this square, so it wouldn't work. I wouldn't be able to play knight g5 check. But to me, this looks like I've got a position similar to an Evans gambit, except without gambiting a pawn. Bishop's pointing at his king side. Yeah, gets a good knight position, okay. I will accept that. He wants to go there, so I want to bring my knight out here. Now, I could bring my queen out first. But what happens? Let's think about this. I bring my queen out, threatening mate. It's not quite mate. Takes my bishop. Take here with check. He runs here. But the other problem is he could play g6, kicking my queen, and then I have two pieces hanging. That's what I was wondering about. Could I sacrifice the bishop here? He takes. I take with check, and then I could take this pawn. I think I don't quite see it working. Might work. But, well, I can play the queen out here anyway. So he wants to mate me. Let's stop the mate. Then he wants to kick my queen. So I was thinking this was good here. Bishop on the dark squares. Threatening mate here. So he's going to give up material here. Or maybe he's going to defend with a rook. Okay. So now we can use the other bishop The knight is covering this square. It's a bit annoying. Let's see if I can harass that knight. Keeping the rooks defending each other, I think, was important there because of the pin on the bishop. Yeah, so he goes there. Yeah, there's a great skewer from this square, if I could figure out how to make it happen. Yeah, bishop here to here, bishop here to here to here. But then he can actually just drop his knight into one of these squares. So he wants to trade off my scary bishop there. I like my bishop. Yeah, that's the move I was expecting a while ago. That's good. Hits my bishop. Here, let's go ahead and... I can't take the pawn. So I'm thinking of bringing the bishop in maybe to this square. This knight can't go to those squares because of the bishop. Yeah, it can go there. Got to start moving quicker. Here or here, and I can go here. I think I've enclosed him enough. He gives up the queen. I'm not that low on time that I can win. I mean, I'm not going to lose with an extra queen. He begs to differ. Okay, let's go round up his pawn. He resigned. Yeah, I was going to pick up the knight and then pick up the pawn. So, good games. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.